Alright y'all, so your boy decided to hop out of the hyperbolic time chamber to talk about this latest Last of Us news. I was seeing a bunch of stuff on Twitter and I had a few people asking me my opinions on it, so I figured, why not make a video on it? Now for those of you who don't know, Summer Game Fest has been happening this week, and Naughty Dog actually showed up to this event, which isn't really too weird because normally this would be around the time of the year when E3 is happening, but since E3 isn't happening this year, I guess Game Fest is like the next best thing. But yeah, like I said, Naughty Dog showed up with a whole bunch of Last of Us related news. They talked about the Last of Us HBO series that just wrapped filming a few weeks ago, and it should be coming out pretty soon. They also talked about how well The Last of Us Part 2 sold. According to Neil, the game sold 10 million copies, which is pretty good, especially for a console exclusive game. And they also had news on the remake of the first Last of Us game. And that news includes a slight name change from the game originally being called The Last of Us to the game now being called The Last of Us Part 1. And this game will be coming out September 2nd. And Naughty Dog even showed up to this event with a trailer for the new remake, which I'll be watching with you guys now. I was out and about doing some VR stuff when this trailer dropped, so this is my first time watching this trailer. So let's get into it.
So why'd you leave Boston?
I've been on quite the adventure, little brother.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
It's got everything to do with that little girl.
Well, first off, I'm not gonna cap. I couldn't tell for real if this was like, I know they said that it was like PS5 gameplay, but low-key from the first couple of shots, I couldn't tell if it was like, is this the remake or is this, they're gonna do like a wipe where they'll be like, oh, here's how it used to look and then, here's the new stuff. I thought that's what they were gonna do because the original game already looked so good, so I couldn't really tell what this was, but anyway.
You know, I've never been this close. The outside.
So is that everything you hoped for?
Yeah, I see the difference there.
Can it?
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. And in this world, that's good for one thing. Get you killed.
I can take care of myself.
How many close calls have we had?
I get into trouble down there. You make every shot count.
I got this.
Hope you know how to use that thing.
I've had some practice.
Okay. Oh yeah, and it's also coming out for PC, which is, you know, that's dope too. That's kind of what PlayStation is starting to do now, you know, having games initially come out on PlayStation and then once they remake it or whatever, it'll come out on PC. They did it with Horizon, did it with God of War, now they're doing it with The Last of Us, which is, you know, dope. So like I can definitely tell what they're doing like with this remake. I can definitely like see it, but I can also like tell you right now it's not like a super big jump, at least graphics wise. Like gameplay wise it's gonna be different because I'm pretty sure that they're gonna be using the engine that they used to make The Last of Us Part 2 to make this remake, which is dope because the gameplay and combat in The Last of Us Part 2 feels way better than The Last of Us Part 1. Like if you go back and play The Last of Us Part 1 now, the gameplay is a little bit clunky, but I can also argue that that kind of adds to like the experience of the game. Anyway, back to the graphics. Graphically speaking, I can definitely like tell the difference, like looking at like some of these screenshots that I'm gonna have on screen for you guys. I can definitely see the difference, at least like side to side. You can also see the difference, but you can also see how like graphically wise, how big the jump isn't, because like The Last of Us when it originally came out was already a really good looking game, and then they remastered it for the PS4 and it looked even better remastered. So it's like I don't really know how to feel about this remake because like part of me is like, yeah, this is sick, remake it with like the new engine and new combat and all that stuff. Another part of me is kind of like, is this really necessary though? This game is already one of like the best selling PlayStation games ever, and you can already play this game, the remastered version, for free if you have PlayStation Plus. So it's like who is this game for? I always compare all remakes to like the Resident Evil 2 remake, because like if you go back and look at the original Resident Evil 2, it's like, whoa, like they added like cutscenes, like voice acting, they updated the gameplay and all that stuff because that game like needed it. But like looking at the original Last of Us and then comparing it to like the remake, it's like the storytelling was already good, the controls were a little clunky but they were still good, and it's like the graphics were good too. So it's like, yeah, they look like a little bit dated, but it still looks really good for a game that came out 10 years ago. So I'm mainly just like, who is this remake for real? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I always have to ask myself, because like I said with the Resident Evil thing, I never played Resident Evil 2, but the remake allowed me to play it with, you know, cutscenes, better storytelling, better controls, and it allowed me to experience that game better. But like for this one, they're just updating the controls and stuff like that. And I also want to see, like, it's definitely gonna have to change some of like the puzzles and stuff in this game, because in the original Last of Us game, you weren't able to jump, go prone, and like dodge like you could in The Last of Us Part 2. So I'm interested to see, you know, what they're gonna do with that, with those new gameplay mechanics, and how they're gonna implement that into the old Last of Us game and like their puzzles and stuff like that. I'm interested to see that. I'm definitely gonna play it. I don't know how much this game is gonna be. I think they're gonna be charging $70 for this game, which I know got some people kind of just like, word, $70 for a remake of a game that doesn't really need to be remade. Oh yeah, and there's also no factions multiplayer mode in this remake. So it's just the main game and the DLC. I don't know, I mean, I'm gonna play it just because, you know, I love The Last of Us. It's a dope game and just to check it out. So like, I'm kind of torn on this remake because yeah, it's cool that, you know, it's something new in The Last of Us universe, but also for me internally, I'm just asking myself, like, do we really need this remake? Especially when y'all know what we really want, which is the multiplayer. And speaking of the multiplayer, Naughty Dog actually talked about the multiplayer at this Game Fest event as well. You know, they said the usual stuff like, you know, we're working on the game. This is our biggest, most ambitious online game they've ever put out. And they showed off some concept art for the game. They also confirmed that the game was going to be standalone, which was weird because I saw like news outlets writing like, oh, the Halo 2 multiplayer is going to be standalone. But I'm like, didn't we already know this in that statement they made before like Halo 2 even came out like 2 years ago? Like, didn't we already know that it was going to be standalone? But apparently that's news to everybody. I guess it's 100% confirmed now that it's going to be standalone. So like I said, they were saying the usual stuff, but they also said they want to implement a type of story into The Last of Us Part 2's standalone multiplayer mode, which was really interesting because the original game already had like a soft story or like some soft lore built into why the multiplayer mode was even a thing. And the basic story was like, hey, you're a clan leader and you're trying to, you know, keep your clan alive for 12 weeks. And like things would happen to your clan, you know, like people would join, people would die, people would get sick. And your whole goal is basically trying to keep your clan alive and healthy for, you know, like I said, 12 weeks. And you had to do well to keep your clan, you know, healthy and alive. But also at the same time, like the better that you did, the more people would join your clan, which would then result in you having to get more supplies to keep, you know, everybody healthy and safe. And then at the end of each week, there would be some type of event that would happen that would affect your clan in some type of way. Either some like marauders or hunters would attack, or like a disease would break out, or you guys would go on like a supply run. And that would result in you having to do challenges that would either lessen the negative effects of these events or increase the positive effects of these events. And this was all on the PS3. So at the time, this was pretty unique and pretty cool. I remember when the game came out on PS3, you could actually link your Facebook account to your like PS3 account, and the members who would join your clan while you were playing would actually be people from like your Facebook friends list. And then when people would die, like it would actually seem like, you know, your friends from Facebook or your friends in real life, you know, were dying in this Last of Us online game. So like it kind of like incentivized you a little bit more to, you know, keep your friends alive. So like I said at the time, it was pretty cool and pretty unique. But like once you got to a certain point with like your progression, your leveling up, it kind of got pretty fucking useless. So I'm interested to see what kind of story they're going to implement into this upcoming multiplayer. Low key, I think that the story in the multiplayer is going to have something to do with rebuilding the Fireflies. Because if you guys remember, towards the end of The Last of Us Part 2, Abby ends up finding out that there are more Fireflies out there, and that they're, you know, they're trying to regroup and like expand and kind of like recover and rebuild and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like the story is going to have something to do with the Fireflies rebuilding, especially since Abby was on the West Coast towards the end of the game, and in this concept art you can see that they are also in the West Coast. So I definitely think it's gonna have something to do with that. It would be cool if you had your own like hub world or like a little camp that you could like walk around in and like invite your friends into, that you could expand over time, you know, as you leveled up in the game. And there could be like a firing range. You could try out like loadouts and different like weapon setups. There could be like an area where you 1v1 people. There could be a place where you can get like cosmetics and like contracts and stuff like that. And then maybe it would be cool if you could like attack like enemy camps or something like that. I don't really know how they would be implemented, but maybe you could go and like attack somebody else's camp and like raid it for your supplies and stuff like that. Ooh, and then what if there was like a bounty system where it's like if you were like raiding people or you're doing like well in matches, there would be like a bounty out on your head or something, so that if people like killed you or like attacked your base, they would get like a bigger reward for taking out somebody who was like a high value target or something like that. Like, yo, that would be sick. Yo. Alright, let me not get carried away. But fortunately and unfortunately, the last bit of news concerning this standalone Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer mode was that we're not going to be able to hear or say anything about it until basically this time next year, according to Naughty Dog, which kind of sucks. Cause like, it's already been like 2 years since Last of Us Part 2 came out, and people are still waiting for the multiplayer. And on top of that, you have like a remake for a game that doesn't really need to be remade coming out, that a ton of people have already played / can play on PlayStation 4 and PS5 for free if you have PlayStation Plus. So it kind of seems a little bit like a waste of time and resources that could have went into making this multiplayer mode so that would be able to come out faster. No, but in all seriousness, it looks like we're going to be getting the Factions Last of Us mode sometime in like Q4 of next year. Because I can easily see them, you know, kind of like what they did with like this remake. They reveal it in June and then be like, hey, it's coming out in like September or October. Like, I could easily see them doing that with this Factions 2 standalone mode. So fingers crossed. Hopefully by like September, October of next year, we'll be playing some Factions 2 multiplayer mode. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this Tlu news. How do you guys feel about this remake? Are you excited for it? Do you kind of think that it's a little bit unnecessary? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And also, let me know how you feel about this story mode that's going to be coming to the standalone Factions 2 mode. Let me know how you guys feel about it, and also let me know some of your ideas on what that story mode could be down in the comment section below. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little motivated to start making some Tlu content now that we know that something is actually coming within like the next year or so. So don't be surprised if you see a Tlu video from me pretty soon. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you want to see more, like this shit.